Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Geraci, and I'm back with comics from my spinner rack. You will read these comics, you will read them. You don't need my lame hypnotism bit in order to enjoy these books. So, I picked this up, I got it on eBay I think, and it's got amazing art in it, like the crop of the crop, the cream of the crop of Marvel at the time. This came out in 1970, and with all the new books that Marvel and DC were trying out, now with the Comics Code lightening up around 1970, they could pursue other books like horror stories. Spider-Man fought a synthetic vampire called Morbius, and they decided, let's go try romance again. It was a big deal. It was like the biggest thing in the 50s, thanks to Simon and Kirby, who invented it. And that is a John Romita cover. Wow. And let's dive into it. The Gazelle. So we start right off with Stan Lee, John Buscema, and Frank Giacoia, who's a fantastic inker. Because he does the folds and the clothes really well. Really. Oh, but he's not the boy for me. He's not Stan's, he's not John's, he's not Frank's. So really amazing stuff. And actually, I think John Buscema probably liked this, even though he had to draw backgrounds that kind of bored him. He was probably thrilled that it wasn't a superhero book, and dig these crazy fashions. But pretty cool. So she runs into this guy, and when I first saw you, I thought you were modeling in men's fashion. That's very kind of you, but I'm not a model. There. Notice how this lower collar does wonders for your hair? These are the coolest thing I've seen since ice cream cones. What a hipster, huh? So, never thought I'd have espresso with a salesman. And nice little... It's worthy of John Romita, but that's Buscema and Giacoia. So I lost my mind. What's come over me? Of course he's handsome and romantic, but a girl like me, I rate something better than a closing salesman. And then she comes out and finds out he's actually a designer, a high-end designer. And she's like, no, didn't you know, miss? Leonard Duran always drops in and wants to see if his styles are selling. Then my heart didn't betray me. I didn't fall in love with the right boy. But it was my conceit, thought I could choose my love by label instead of listening to my heart. Now, this is so corny because this didn't last very long, because the romance story of these sorts are so outdated, because the late 60s, early 70s is when the women's movement started to really take off, and women were taking jobs they never had before. And you had even characters like that girl and Mary Tyler Moore, who were actually really groundbreaking in a lot of ways, where they weren't just looking to get a husband. So despite the top talents at Marvel, this didn't last. Stand with Gene Colan, inked by John Romita. Wow, how about that? That's wild. But he's the boy I love. So she calls him a square, and she loves him, but he doesn't want to do anything. He just works. So she goes out with this other guy, and they go dancing and have a good time. And I don't know what happened between you and me, baby, or you and Al, baby, but let me tell you this: he's the right guy, Mindy, and you better believe it. I will. Why do I love Al instead of a real cool character like Duke? If only Al would dig cool times like other boys do. So, man, this is magnificent stuff. Amazing. Oh, real quick, this is funny. Between the price going up from 12 to 15 cents, which was extremely detrimental, it was extremely detrimental to sales. So they do this survey. As far as I'm concerned, these are Marvel best pencilers, inkers. Hey man, those are my favorite types of plots. And then you fill in. These are the kinds of yarns that turn me off. Try to be hip. Wow, these are the type of bags you should do more of. If I were you, Stan, ugh. these are the changes I'd make at Marvel. So they're desperate for, what can we do for you, sir? So anyway, this one kid, he gets framed for, he was hanging out with some friends, and his friends had busted into a store just for kicks, and he went along, tried to talk them out of it, but he got picked with the rest of them. But Al is he's a caseworker. He's a social, I can't say the word. Same thing as the Falcon, I can't remember. Social worker. Duh, listen to me. And she's so happy that this young kid gets, free, that she decides, I think we're going to make it, darling. But here is a home run. Jim Steranko. The reason I bought this in the first place. The rest of the book is fantastic art, but come on, Jim Steranko. He's pulling out his Peter Max influence for this story, and it is just perfect for the subject. Because it deals with Hollywood and glamour, and that hair is just so fantastic. Just everything. And you'll notice there's like just a solid line. There's no contours. Like, it's not like the light line would go into a heavy one to suggest shadows. And the same with the part of the leg that's in the shadows. He went monoline with the faces. And that middle panel there with the black backdrop and single line work on the figure. The colors. By the way, Steranko always colored his own stories. This is something, So, that alone would be a beautiful painting, a print or something. And then they get a space for the guitar. And several of these women were reading for a part, and they don't get it. Miss Wendy Nelson, and she gets it. I knew it, I just knew it, so she's crying. How could I have been so wrong? Maybe, how could I have let myself dream and hope? There's a dream. And, but you shall have a career in Hollywood, Victoria. Yours will be a lifetime contract, my darling. If you just say the word, you could always find I can always find an actress, but I finally found the star my heart is searched for to take the role of my wife. And it's like, but that's how the comics, a lot of the comics were like that. And in the 50s, there were a lot of romance comics, but this whole thing is out of date, like big time, even at the time. But the Steranko art and the other artists make it worthwhile. So on to the Iceman comic, with a cover by Mike Zeck, John Beatty, the legendary artists on Captain America. This is 1984, and a lot of the miniseries, after the success of both Wolverine and Hercules, Marvel started doing more miniseries. They picked Iceman. How about that logo? Oh, that's great. And you would think Iceman, he came out of left field. he had joined the New Defenders, and it's funny because he started off with the X-Men, joined the Champions, all kinds of stuff. So Alan Kupperberg, inked by Mike Gustovich. That is really great. Wow. Man. Kupperberg is really bringing it. And you know what it is? For a long time I didn't like Kupperberg's work, and I think because he was always the fill-in guy. And he'd have to bang it out to keep the books going. And as an inker, I've dealt with that a lot. And where I've had to bang stuff out because the penciler was late, or the script was late, or there were changes made. So, but this is just really some of Kupperberg's best work. I love that little, sort of looks like a Toad Man. I pick up the big shoulder pads. It was the 80s. And yeah, Mike Gustovich, they're such a good team. Look how sharp they look. The details are. And he does his ice slide stuff. Whee! And he sees Mary, his cousin. He doesn't marry his cousin. He sees Mary, his cousin. And Pryor's place, this is so funny. Saturday morning in 1970, Richard Pryor was the most shocking comedian, dirty comedian, just just out of this world, and now he's kid friendly. And like Superman 3, which was abominable. It was a waste of his talents. And, well, they catch up. And James DeMatteis is writing this. I'm just... Okay, well, he's like, ay, ay, ay. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I'm just in love is all. And he tries to show off, but his ice slide breaks. Makes an ass of himself. And this one cop is like, Iceman, wait a minute, now I remember. You're one of them stinking mutants. So he's just an asshole. I love how the color, where the pink, the dark pink or the red on his face, it's a color hold. It's on a separate, flap, so the printers can do that. I've never really seen much of that on a face back then. So yeah, he takes off. He's like, "Oh, frig yourself." He puts him in an ice cocoon for an hour or so. He's trying to change because only his parents know he's Iceman. They're having a big get together. This woman says, "Help! It's a godless communist." Whoa, hiccup! I'm dressing in my backyard. You got it all wrong, miss. I got my clothes on. Don't try to fool me, young man. I know sexual deviant when I see one. What I like too is her face. Gustovich was like just perfect for inking that over Kupperberg. So he shows up with his yuppified sweater around his collar, and the floor here has to be Zipatone because you'll see it later. He looks a lot like, there was a character later on called Cubic, which was the cosmic cube given form, a male person's form. Well, there's this big party, and, your parents tell me you're an accountant, but he actually dropped out, and he's kind of getting flack for it from his parents. That'll be enough out of you, Robert. How dare you shame us like that? That girl again, and our new best friends, these two oddballs, show up, and that was Saul Brodsky, a production manager for decades at Marvel. So I love that. I love that a lot. So Iceman managed to save everybody with an ice shield, but things are chaos. It's not fair. Great ending splash. Everybody back off. Okay, Muty, what did I get you dead right this time? My son, help me. Oh, terrific. That pinhead Ratchet from up the book, meaning that cop. Is Bobby hurt? I think so. You're under arrest. Why me, Lord? Why me? Look, I love that spread, or that splash page. It's hard to come up with a splash page that isn't someone punching somebody or the end of a fight and make it riveting, but I'm really, really happy with it. So, we'll go on to Thunderstrike. No, Thunderstrike. Now, this is a great issue. It's Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz who are carrying on the person of Eric Masterson, who filled in as Thor for several years. He was off Thor. The one true Thor showed up again, but he got his own kind of hammer that he is now Thunderstrike. Very classic Buscema-esque poses, and so that was a practice. And Cap was sweating because I'll never get used to be winded. I never used to get this winded after a simple workout. After all these years, they started to take their toll. For the real reason, check out Captain America 425. That started the story where he was dying, and but I like the continuity because it could still be in the story, but it doesn't affect Cap's own comic. And that's something that's kind of lost. So this woman is sort of like a succubus. Or she, man, that's gruesome. And I really love how they do Spider-Man. Really nice stuff. Who's inking this? Hang on, everybody. Fumble around. Did I screw up? Did I err? Ah. Oh, Al Milgrom, okay. Yeah, he did some solid stuff on the last couple issues of Thor before this. I tend to like his inking more than his penciling. Yeah, man, that's so Ramita. You know, let me tell you, I want to buy the whole series, like the back issues. However, I will have brought about the curse. What is the curse, you say? If you're interested, I can tell you. I bought every issue of John Byrne's She-Hulk, with the first 7 issues, and then after he came back, all the way to issue 50. And then, ta-da, there was an omnibus of that She-Hulk. And that's not the only example. There have been other books where I've gotten the whole series, and then ta-da, comes out an omnibus or epic collection. So I want to buy all these issues, but I don't want to piss away money if I'm only going to buy them in a better format. So, and now we got Angel and the Ape, which is an oddity. I think it lasted 6 issues. It started off in 1 issue of Showcase, about 1970 or so. Co-created by Sergei Aragones and Bob Oskner. They did the first issue that was in Showcase, and then after that it became E. Nelson Bridwell and Bob Oskner writing, and the penciling was by Bob Oskner and inked by Wally Wood. So are you confused? So, and it's amazing. As I've said many a time, Wally Wood, anything he inks, he turns into Wally Wood. Everything I think I see becomes Wally Wood to me. That's a great elephant there. So, the Curse of the Avarice Clan. We're going to, the guy's name is Avarice, so she changes, and it's very, this whole thing is like very almost vaudevillian, with old guys going crazy for her, and you have these exaggerated characters, which I really love. It's almost something like out of Mad Magazine, either the original Mad Magazine or even the black and white one that it changed into. So it's kind of like Clue. There's like a murderer and stuff. Here's Sam Simeon. He is an artist for DZ Comics. What I really like, it's sort of like Sugar and what's the name? Sugar and Spike, where they would say baby babble, then underneath it would have the actual words they're saying. So Sam is like, Akak, Oscar, Prague, Chuck, Walk. Just make sure you put through a check for me. So models were a big deal at the time, car models. And yet another victim. This page I love. She's like a gossip columnist, and she loves to overhear everything. Door opens. Look at that angle. That is really, really cool. And more things are kooky, but here comes Stan Bragg, the genius behind Brain Picks Comics. You'll never draw me with your diabolical weapon. I'll fend it off with a shield, just like Captain America's in my stories. Where did he get that garbage can lid? It's like such a, it would be years before Kirby did his funky Flashman takeoff on Stan, but it's so weird. This looks nothing like Stan. It looks like Jerry Lewis from back in the day. So there's a Batman guy, and I'll save you for I think I'm Batman. You're a Batman? No, but I think I am. It's just a bunch of loons. But yeah, that's so funny because he's using the old reed through it trick, breathing through a reed that he learned in Sergeant Flurry and his fouled up commandos, but water gets in there. Yeah, man, they ripped off so many pages by this. They had like 24, 25 pages, but a lot of them had ads. This is really cool because I guarantee you that's a Neil Adams cover. That boy in the front right there, it just really, I mean, they had a lot of different artists that had similar styles when it came to covers, like Nick Cardy did some brilliant stuff. So Sam Simeon, the guy who got me committed to this Life Academy, is here. What a break. I'll hide near him and wait for a chance to get my revenge. It's goofy, but it is totally dated, but it's also fun too, you know, when it comes to artwork anyway. So I'm going to try to poison her with a sandwich made of toadstools, Paris green, deadly nightshade, arsenic, and strychnine. It's so funny. She starts kicking people's ass while she's giving the wrap up of the story, and then Stan's going, now's my chance to hit Sam from behind. Hello, Stan, a long time no see, and just pops in there. But so anyway, she's uncovering everything and explaining it, but at the same time she's kicking everybody's ass. And I love that finger karate. Hi. And she's so like blasé about it. So, and then they send up a rocket, and for some reason this guy Stan is on. I'm like, man, it's like, that's a little over the top, but whatever, you know. Paddy Wagon, look at that. Another model. And lastly, Ghost right there. I loved him so much. Such a cool image. I liked Johnny Blaze a lot more than I did Daniel Ketch, but that's just my hang up, you know. He was my Ghost Rider. I grew up with. This was the first time they used this shitty, did I say shitty? Shitty logo for Ghost Rider. How bland is that? How bland is that? The previous logo had this like ghostly kind of word for ghost, and Rider had this like speed lines, and it just hogs up a lot of the cover, and it's just more, it doesn't tell you anything interesting about it. I used to copy this here. He got that skull cycle, and it was so easy it saved you a lot of time having to do all those gears and such. And Kirby cover. I like how he's like fitting the gladiator in there. It reminds me of the issue of Thor where Loki has his arms over top, and then Thor is below, and he's leaning all the way back, spinning his hammer, because there's a title between them. So Jerry Conway comes aboard with Gil Kane and Frank Springer. Gil Kane, man, anytime I saw his stuff, I just loved it. And Gregor's doing a kick-ass job on it. So, man. And I love how the flames are drawn by Kane. Those Kane flames. Well, I'm gonna bust your ass. So, Gladiator takes off. I really like how this is almost like a John Byrne thing, where the rest of the leathers that Johnny Blaze is wearing is black, and you just see the blue trimming. So, all these angles, it's just amazing. I will criticize one thing though. Why would you put a skull right in the middle of his face? Even as a kid, I thought that was weird. But that's okay. I love the eel. The eel. Sneaky. Oh, it's hot. It's so hot. And there we go. I love that progression of the skull there, and how you follow this whole page. I mean, that is just like so masterful. I was like, yeah, and he actually gave him eyeballs, I think, for the first time, and it's effective. Killer. Oh, glad you're coming on. Another fantastic action page. Really cool stuff. Yeah, reaction, action, reaction. And he grabs this fallen lamppost that Gladiator chopped. And boing. And there's Gary Conway is very smart to not put any words in that panel where Gladiator falls. It's so effective. It's so dramatic. And here's the other thing about Gil Kane. I love Gil Kane, and he was kind of hopscotching all over the Marvel Universe at the time. He did a lot of covers. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, yes, Gil Kane's a regular artist on the book. And then, no. He just did one issue, and other than covers. And he did that with some other stuff. He did Daredevil for a while, like on and off. He did maybe 5 or 6 issues of Daredevil with fill-ins by like Carmen Infantino, and I kept hoping he'd stick around. Gil Kane, that is. Nothing against Mr. Infantino, but that was just the thing. Even one time, Gil Kane, he admitted in an interview that his only regret is that he didn't have a long run on any Marvel title. You know, he was just like the go-to guy. He did all those. He created Warlock. He created all these other characters with Roy Thomas in the early 70s and so. But you know, it's a drag. But you know, I keep hoping someday they would make like a collection of the best of Gil Kane, Marvel Gil Kane art, and I don't know. They had some other ones that were visionaries, Marvel visionaries, but they stopped that after a while because I guess people weren't they weren't appreciating a book with a single artist. They would rather have action and stories. Anyway, that's all. We got us Gladiator, Angel and Ape, Thunderstrike, our sappy love story, and Iceman. Okay, everybody, that's it. And be well and take care. And let's all enjoy the nice, cool autumnal weather outside. I know I am. See you later.